And this is day 3 of our progression on our application or our game that I am developing. A game that now looks like this. You have a country. If you guess the wrong name, you get a hint. You get up to 3 times. So if I wrong again, I get the second letter, wrong again, third letter, and then if I now get wrong again, it will give me the correct country and throw me to the next one. I'm gonna mute my thing right here once again. There we go. And obviously, if you do the correct country, I believe this is Albania. Then you go get over to the next one. So yeah, let's try to, before we start, let's try to just have a little refresher on where we are at the moment. Again, this is something I do for myself. I don't expect people to watch this. It's just for me to journal my progression. So first of all, we completed the first code plan, which is making a list of countries, store all the country flags. Player then gets displayed a flag. Needs to submit what country he thinks it is, and then the code checks if it's correct or incorrect, and then the player gets notified before he then gets a new flag, right? This was a very easy first plan that we managed to do pretty quickly. Then yesterday we managed to finish the second code plan, which was give hints for the player when guessing incorrectly. Firstly the first letter, then the second letter, and then the third letter. And if the player guesses wrong, with 3 hints, the code goes to the next flag, right? Today we're gonna do a third code plan. It will be something like player gets hint depending on not get hints, gets points depending on how many hints is given. So 0 hints would equal to 10 points, 1 hint equal to 5 points, 2 hints equal to 3 points, and lastly 3 hints equal to 1 point. And then you will move on if you don't get it from there. This is going to be our goal for today. I don't know how hard this actually is. Let's see if there's anything else we can add on this. Yeah, so after that we will start with modes. I think that's so complex that I'm just going to do this for now. Let's try to understand the code before we move on to the project. So first of all, let's just copy paste the third code plan into here. I'll do it like this. That. And then first of all, we're using this fetch function to get the data and retrieve the data from our JSON file. This contains all the names of the countries and the flags, and also the dial code of each country and the phone number length, as well as the code for the actual country, right? So this fetch function, which is what I'm struggling the most to understand throughout this code, from my simple understanding, it takes out a bunch of data from this file, which contains a lot of different methods, objects, etc., and then it takes that response that contains all that data and only returns the actual JSON data. So it kind of filters out through whatever all the methods are, and then it creates a promise. I believe it actually creates a promise first, and then it kind of filters all the data away. And then dot then means that if the promise is good, like if it's if it goes through, then this will happen. Again, if the promise comes through, then this will happen. So it's kind of like it's called a asynchronous function, where you either have the promise go through or the promise doesn't go through, and that's where we use the dot catch function. So basically, if it goes through, everything inside of here will happen, and if it doesn't go through, this code right here will get triggered and catch the error, which will give us a message in our console, whatever error we got, right? So let's just go quickly through what we made for now. First, we defined the index. Then we created an input. We appended to the HTML. We did the same with a button here. That's just the button and the input right here, as you can see. We create this function getHint, which is basically how we get these hints when we're writing anything down, using the underscores as the rest of the name, and the slice function to know how many letters we need, right? So the hint count would be, if, let's say we have one hint, then that would be one letter, right? Here we have an event listener, which is basically a function that happens whenever you click the button. And what happens is that it takes the input value, trims it, which means it deletes the spaces before and after, and it takes makes it lowercase. For the correct answer, it takes the whatever country we are on. Let's say it's the first one, that would be Taliban. It takes the name and also adds it to lowercase, and it takes this if statement that also has an if statement inside. First of all, if it's correct, then the hint count is reset, and it moves on to the next country. This is the function that you call to move it on to the next country. So this function right here is actually what moves on the whole code to the next country. So if I say, I believe this is Tunisia, no, this is Algeria, I submit the code, then it moves on. Then this function is called because I was correct, right? If the hint count is below 3, you get this alert right here, and then the first hint, whatever the hint is, either 1, 2, or 3 letters again. And if it's 3, then you don't get any more choice, and it just automatically pushes you to the next country. And then you just call the input value and declare it to as a empty string, so it's reset for the next country where you need obviously a clean input, right? This is the function to move on to the next country, and it's pretty simple. You just create an element for the country flag. You say if this element isn't there, like if there isn't the flag element, you create it. So that's basically what it's doing, is checking if there is a flag element. More specifically, if there's a flag element ID that is named country flag. And then if that doesn't happen, it creates that flag element, which is an image element. It gives it an ID, which is the country flag, and appends it to the HTML code, so we can actually use the code on our web page. It also declares a source for the country flag, and an alt in case this all goes wrong and there isn't any source data in our JSON file. Then it calls the function here just because when you first update the page, we need something to be shown, and since this isn't used, we need a function with the index 0. This could be 1, but then you could see that the next country would be shown if you press this button right here. Oh, that doesn't actually work. We gotta save the code, and then you can see the first country is actually the second one. So that's all good. And it's also, I have console log here just to clarify all the countries. I can just delete this. There's no need to actually have this here. So that should be it. We're using, again, AI to create this code. We're doing it as for it to be the most educational as possible, so I can learn the best, right? Let's just see if I have, I'm going to do this off here and just make sure I have the correct login. Yes, it was. And yeah. This is where we left off. So now I actually want to move on to a new section of this code, which gives a player hints, not hints, points, depending on how many hints it is they have. So I will first try to do this without using ChatGPT, and then I will try with ChatGPT. So let's just have this here just to, oops, that's not what I wanted. Just to have it more easily, see it more easily. So first of all, player gets points depending how many hints he gets. So 0 hints equals 10 points. So we need to make some sort of function, some sort of code that depending on how many hints you have, you get a certain number of points. Where we do that is probably up here or in this function right here. I'm probably gonna first make a variable let points equal, and also I need to store the points somehow. That's gonna be really hard because this will obviously be just the points you get per country, but we need to store the points that it's stored all the way through. So maybe I should declare that up here. Let points total equals points, I guess. And then we will just have points here equals plus like that. That does not work. Why does that not work? Oh yeah, we got to declare it first, right? So let's do this. Oops. 0. There we go. So whenever the hint, wait, it shouldn't be plus though. We should have points equals 3, 10. And then depending on how many hints you get less and less points, right? So it should be points equals 10. And then and also this needs to be a different name, I think. Current points equals 10. And then we go down to function. When is this function called again? Here. Okay, I'm gonna actually go to the toilet. I have a really bad stomach, so I will stop the recording throughout the session because I need to go to the toilet. I am back. So we are trying to create this point system, right? So first I declared a points total and equals points. That, and then points is now equals 0. And every time we update the points down here, it should be plus points, right? 0 plus points. So every time it gets updated, right? I'm going to delete this just because I don't need it anymore. Yeah, I'm just going to delete that bucket. So let hint currents equals 10. So yeah, and then I will somehow call for the points to be the same as the current points down here. And then obviously this here will run because it goes loops back around. Maybe I shouldn't declare them here though. I think that will just make it harder. I will declare them down here. So like that. And this should be points total, right? I don't really know how to do this. Do I need to first declare this as 0? And yeah, I feel like I'm just confusing myself. There's so many things I need to think about at the same time. Let me call 1 second. I'm gonna stop recording. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Again, I want points total to be saved throughout the whole code. So until every single country has gone through, I want this to be saved. I'm gonna write this here so I can just keep it more structured. Total points needs to be saved till all countries are cycled through. Player gets 10 points per country if no hint. Player gets 5 points per country if 1 hint. Player gets 3 points per country if 2 hints. Player gets 1 point per country if 3 hints. And then finally, player gets 0 points per country if after 3 hints. Okay. And then total point needs to be saved. Let's actually write this after here. Total needs to be updated every time the next country comes. Okay, so I'm guessing that means, like, obviously I think the way we do this is that I put a code into the function where you cycle to the next one, which is down here. I'm gonna delete everything I don't need. I don't know why. I don't need it. Down here, I will add something that returns the amount of points that the player has gotten, right? So how do I do that? First of all, I need to update the variables for the amount of points you have, right? Let's do points country. Why is that like darker? I don't get that. I don't get that. It's because of the camel case. Like what? Why is that not? There we go. Let's do it like that. Let's do it like this. That okay. So total needs to be updated every time next country comes. And points country needs to be updated time you get a new hint. Correct. So every time you the if statement goes to the else thingy, then you need to update it that you get less points. What else do we need to do? So I don't think I need current points. I don't think I need it. Yeah, I don't think I need current points. I think I just need these two, right? And it just needs to be called back into this before it gets put to 0. How do I do this? Can I just do this? I can just do this, right? Can I just do this? Just do that. Okay. So obviously this starts with 0 then, right? And then you add whatever when you get and total needs to be updated every time the next country comes. This is so hard, dude. It's so simple. Like the solution will be like super easy to understand, but it's so hard to like come up with for myself. Like this, it's really hard to imagine. Mm, okay. Points country needs to be updated every time you get a new hint. So let's look at that first. Where do you get a new hint? You get a hint here, right? Yeah, hint plus plus. So did I delete? No, it can't is here. Right, let me just that. So if is correct, it got 0. And points dot country equals points country equals 10, right? And then add event listener. What else happens? When you press the button and it's correct, then points country equals 10, and then points total equals points country, which will then equal to to 10, right? So points total should be 10. So let's do console.log points total. And let's just see if this works. Let's see if it works. And looks like it's already a bug somewhere. Doesn't actually show the country. The message port error loading JSON cannot access points total before initialization. Points total. Is that because it's like not declared or? Like that. Cannot access points country before initialization. Oops. What happened there? Oh my god, I think I fixed it. But there is not a number in the... Oh, it's because I haven't guessed anything. So let's guess correct. Taliban. Submit. And nothing happened. And I think it's because of this bug at line 73, which is this here, console log points total. So this is actually submitted before the function has begun, I think. Like it doesn't read this function, so I think I just need to do this here. Right. Let's try again. There's no not a number, so if I go here, Taliban, not a number again. This is not a number. Oh. Can go like this maybe. Or does that not work? Points total. Yeah, that's just a string. That's stupid. I want this. I want it to be a number. So I'm guessing there's some sort of null here. Points, country. Like, I don't know how to do this in JavaScript. That's the problem. Like, I feel like I'm doing everything wrong right now. Like, I feel like I think of it correctly, but the syntax is just wrong, right? Like, what I'm doing is actually wrong. Points country equals 10, and then I think the way I do this is I just create everything in here. now it should be 10 here, and then this should be 10. Let's try again. Not a number again. Clear console, oops. Country. See if that works at least. Yeah, so this one is updated. But whenever I do this, I just need to do this. 0. Yeah, but again, I don't think that will be saved, right? Oh my god, it is saved. Oh. Did I just do it? Okay, let's try again. Oops. 10. Roland. 20. Benya. 30. Oh my god, I did it. It's saved. Okay, I actually got it. I actually got it. That's really nice. So now that we know that, let's just do this. Actually put this just to make it more clear in front of the hint here. And then we gotta do the exact same thing on here. However, the points for country will be 5. But this is the problem, because this is an if statement that's for both, for all the hints, and I want different points for each hint, which is the problem here. So I think I'm gonna rewrite this whole part right here. Let's just save it in case I do something wrong, right? Just save this part, but I think I'm gonna do. Oops. I think I'm gonna rewrite this whole thing here. You say else equals 5, and then if int count equals 1, then this will happen. If equals 1, then get int count, which is 1. Can I use else if? It's not easier. I think that's easier. So I'm actually going to delete this and try to use else if. If count 1, then this happens. Then again, count equals 1. This happens. And then again, else if equals 2. this happens, and here, oops, else if int counts 3, this happens, and then finally else, and then this will pop up, right? That doesn't seem to work for some reason. I don't know why. Oh, what's wrong here? I guess I can make it cleaner, but there's something wrong with the code that I don't know what is wrong. Is it because there's nothing inside, or is it not? Oops, that's not what I wanted in there. Guess I need to add one for each. Or do I, bro? I'm getting so confused because it's so hard to keep in mind what I'm doing. So if it's correct, int count is 0. Else if, oh, this doesn't work because the hint count isn't updated before this. I said else if user equals incorrect. I would do this. No, I don't need that. I just need to else if Yeah, I don't know how to do this. This is too complicated because I don't know how to add hints. Because you can't say else if after else, right? Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, I just delete all this then. And yeah, it doesn't really work. Yeah, I don't know how to do it, unfortunately. It's too complicated. It's so much to think about. Like, I tried to organize it, but see if it still works. Boom, service guess, T. I'm getting dollar twice. Did I? Oops, I added this in. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. So everything is now at the start. So I don't actually know how to do this stuff. I'm gonna delete all this, and I'm gonna, even though I did make some of it work though. Like I did make some of it work, right? Yeah, I did make it work. So I'm gonna go and ask the chats. Okay, I want to move on to next step. I oops, I want to add a point system when a player guesses correct, he gets 10 points. If he needs 1 hint, he gets 5, needs 2, gets 3, needs 3, gets 1. And I want the player to see points he has in total. Here is my current code. There's Control A, C, here, boom. Let's see what ChatGPT does. Right now, your code is assigned to points country incorrectly because it's always set it to 10 for country correct guess and 5 for the first wrong guess. But it's not actually changing the points depending on the number of hints used. Let's do this clean step so your point system works exactly as planned. Points country based on hint count. Yeah, this was what I tried to do, but it was too hard. Don't give points immediately on wrong guesses, only award them once the they guess the once they guess the flag correctly, if they fail after 3 hints, give them 0 points, move on. Show the total score and page so they can track it. So yeah, this is what I tried to do, but like look how easy it is. Like it's so easy. It's just because I did it like inside of everything else. It was so hard. Yeah. They just made a new if statement. I was much more smart and trying to integrate it into the already made one. So again, we have the guess button function here, which is simple enough. And then you make an if statement. If uses correct answer, then if its score is 0, then the points of the country is 10. Else, if it is 1, punch corner is 5. So this is what I try to do, but again, I don't know how to update the hints in this kind of system, so I want to see how we do that. Like you can see, like this is literally exactly what I tried to do, right? And point cell is equals point country plus equals. Plus equals is doing it actually the exact same thing that I did. I'm going to delete this. This here is the same as this here. I just forgot you could do this. And then we add the text content into the score elements as score and then the amount of points total. I haven't made the score element though. Hint count is 0. Oh, we're still inside the if statement, right? So this is like if statement inside of the if statement. Now I understand. So it checks how many. First, it checks how many hints we have. Gives a point. Gives points depending on how many hints we're at. It adds it to the total amount of points, which will be saved up on the whole game, right? It will be saved until the end. The hint count is reset to 0 after it's checked, right? Because it's already distributed the amounts of points. It updates the current index, which is current index plus 1. It means the next country, right? And then modulo country length, which is, let's say, 200, which is what I usually do. And it calls for the a function that moves on to the next country. And if the user guess is not correct, then this happens. And what happens is the hint is plus 1, and then another if statements hint counts. If it's under 3, then it will call for get hint function, which is weird. What's the get hint? This is the get hint function, which is, yeah, the actual hint, right? Like the letters and the underscores depending on how many hints you have. So that makes sense as well. So if it's less than 3, then it will call for this. Yeah, depending on the hint count, which will be either 1, 2, or 3. And it will alert whatever the hint is. And then if it's not less or equal than 3, that means it's more than 3, then you're out of hints, and hint counts get reset to 0. And then it calls for the next country as well. So all of here is really clean. I understand everything. Let's just implement it. I'm gonna actually delete this whole thing. I just want to do it from scratch, right? Okay, if user guess triple equals answer, then and then we will create all this stuff inside. The hint count 0, which at this point it should be. Also, the correct answer, it gets that. Where does it get that from? It gets that from the function, right? Where is it? Oh, we haven't made it. We have made it. What? Correct answer. Oh, here. Yeah, the name of the current country. So when it clicks, the user gets is the input, and the correct answer is, then it just pulls it out of the JSON file. And if the user guess, if this is the same as this, then this happens, right? So if count to 0, just scroll down a bit. Then points, country, it's done. Let's if int count equals 1, then points of country equals to 5. Should we? Yep. Cleaner. I don't really need to even look at the code, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I know what it's gonna say anyway. I need to stop pressing that button. Oops. Here, and then that's it. Next thing is the points total gets updated. This equals points dot country and score elements. Why does that happen, dude? So annoying. Text content equals the score points country, not the points country. There. There. Also, it should be lowercase here. Don't know if that actually mattered, but current index equals to current index plus 1. Where's the modulo? I don't remember how to create the modulo actually. There it is, modulo. Hmm. It calls for the next country, of course, if it's correct. And if it's not correct, then this will happen, which is, first of all, another hint. Silence gets updated. If, then the hint count plus or more equals 3. Oh yeah, sorry, I gotta stop recording. Right, we're back. So we're going to continue this if statement here. Again, if it's incorrect, then this will happen. First of all, the int gets declared. Increase, and then index. It counts. Let's just see. It's nothing more. Yeah, there's another if statements that if it's less than 3, then whatever here happens. So first of all, you will get the hint that we're made in this function here. Then it will alert that hint so the player can actually see whatever the hint is, right? It's this kind of thing. I'm just gonna copy this text because it's just so annoying to make. Because I don't know how to make that emoji, right? So yeah, out of hints. So if it's 3 hints and they guess another time, then they will get alerted this message and the name of the country, right? And also we gotta remember to reset the hint counts to 0. We gotta go to the next country and update the index. Current index plus 1 modulo stop length. There, and we got a call for the show country function. Okay, why is this red? Why is this red? There. Okay. That's about it. I zoned out right there. I don't know. I was thinking of something else. But that should be good for now. So if we try the actual thingy, there we go. And I go wrong. First, ooh, it doesn't give me the first hint for some reason. So if the rest of the code works though. Now I should. Oh, it's just looping. That's very weird. Incorrect hint is hint. And then when it calls for the hint, oh, it should call for the function though, right? Here, it should call for this. So should we get hint here? I'm pretty sure. No, it creates that variable, so it should be hint. This is all correct. So I don't know why that doesn't work. I know this function works because I used it before. The only thing we edited was actually this right here. So this is the code that there's something in here wrong. First of all, int gets updated to 1, then hit count. This gets thrown out. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not working. I don't know. Yeah, so this is nice and all, but this has nothing to do with this bug. It doesn't give the first. Don't know why. Slicing on the hint count. Ooh, this should be hint count, no? Yes, that's the mistake. Okay, let's open the console. Let's see if there's any points here. Score element is not defined? The fuck? Yeah, this I actually also stuttered upon. I didn't understand this. Is this because of the second part of the code here? Yeah, so he actually declares this. That's why this didn't make any sense, right? So you gotta actually do this before the if statements comes. Or before this function is called, right? Or before you click the button, which is when this function is called. So it should be here. But do I need this still? I mean, I need this, but I need this. Yeah, that it does actually use those. So let's declare the score element. Come on, dude. This is pretty easy, by the way. It just creates a H3 element, not in HTML code yet. This is in JavaScript. So what it needs to do is first give it some text content, which is score, and then score is 0, which is the first text content that it should have. Because right now the hint count is 0, right? Or the score is 0, right? So this will be updated. The score element text score will be updated. And then the document body append shell, that just means the whole element is appended to the HTML code, which is how you actually use the, or puts it over to the software, to the website. I'm just wondering if we use this somewhere else. Yeah, it does right here. Perfect. So if it's correct, then it adds the point total, and it should also yeah, this is the only spot, right? Because even if this runs, you get a hint, and then you come back here, and then you guess it, and then you get the new score depending on how many things it gets. So I just remember when you declare a variable, it's kind of weird, right? Because here it's a 0, and then you update it, and as long as you don't refresh, I think the only time it goes back to here is when you actually refresh the site, and then they're declared 0 again. That's what I gotta remember. Like these functions, if statements, they're always true until you refresh the site. If they're declared something else outside of the code, that's what I gotta remember. So let's check if the website works. Here, no, that's incorrect. Let's try again. No, incorrect. No, incorrect. No, Taliban. Okay, and then correct. Let me try Holland. Submit guess, and we got 5 points. Perfect. Here, let's do it instantly. Albania. That's 10 points. Okay, that works. Let's do 2 mistakes now. And then this is Tunisia. No, this is Algeria. I always mix them up for some reason. And that's 3 points. That works. And let's check with 3 hints. Oh, I don't actually know this country, so I don't know if I can. I don't know this country actually. Armenia. That's right, that's American Samoa. I would never, I guess that's this I should know. Yeah, this is Andorra. So let's try with 3 letters here. And Andorra, it's 2 R's, I think. Yeah, we got 1 point. Perfect. So the game works. Oh, this is so nice. Oh, nice. So I think, like, if we go back to the Notion document here, you've actually done all of this. This is kind of like part 1 of the code. Part 2 of the code, right? And the part 1 we did with 3 sessions, 3 days, and we've made it all pretty clear and nice. So if we're gonna do different modes and certain continents and stuff, like this is a lot more advanced, right? I'm just gonna try to play through the game just because I want to actually play the game. I think it's quite fun, and I actually want to learn all the countries. And this is not just countries, by the way. This is like so many different things. It's not just countries. So let's try Taliban, Poland, Albania, Algeria, and it's also in alphabetic order, which is kind of like cheating because you kind of know what it is. This was American Swan, was it not? American. Yeah, I don't remember. I thought it was Swarm. Yeah, I don't remember this one. American Samoa. Okay. This is Andorra. This is Angola. What the fuck is this? I have no idea what this is. Oh, I need to create a button which is like, I don't know at all. But I guess I can get the hints. I need 3 hints. Ung? Yeah, I don't know. Angaria? Angilla or Anguilla. This is Antigua and Barbuda. Is it not Antigua? Yeah. This is Argentina. This is not Lithuania. Lithuania is green here. This is the other one. Which what is this? I just remember I need to make a randomizer, but I feel like it's kind of cheating to do this because you know what the letters and stuff. Like I don't know, no idea what this is. And also like what's the point of the hint if you know it's A already, right? Like it doesn't make any sense. Armenia. Nice. I have no idea what this is. Arubatu. Aruba. Okay. This is Australia. This is Austria. Ooh. Oh, I think I know this one. This Azerbaijan. I think it's called something. Azerbaijan. I'm not sure if that's how you spell it. I think it's with a C. Azerbaijan. Fuck, that's not how I spell it. Azerbaijan. Is that how you spell it? Fuck, it's with a C? Fuck. Are you kidding me? Azerbaijan. Did not Azerbaijan. Please, Azerbaijan. Nice. Correct. Okay. This one I also don't know. I don't know this one. B. Bolivia. Barbados. It's not Bahrain. I know Bahrain's flag. It's not Bahamas, is it? Oh, it is Bahamas. I remember now. I don't know why I didn't remember that. This is Bahrain. Sorry, spell it. Bahrain. Nice. Ooh, why is this one so big? This one is fucking huge. All right, this is Bangladesh. This is Barbados. This is Belarus. Belarus, I guess. Belgium, should be. Belgium. Ooh. Do I know this one? I've seen the flag, but Subombra Floreo. No, I don't know. So, or it's all obviously with the B. I need the next one. I need another one. Belize. Oh, it's with an E. Fuck, it's Belize. Fuck. This is Bura Bura. I don't fucking know what this is, bro. Belgia? Benin. Nice. What is this country? It's not in a country. Yeah, I realize we're going to be in it for a while if we're going to go through all the countries. Like it's like 250, so I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to try to make the code a bit better. Make countries is random. That's going to solve a lot of problems. First of all, we will know the first letter is different, so it will actually be helpful to know the first letter. And the second one as well, if you actually try to calculate. The second one should be quite hard to get as well. So how do we make it random? That is, I have no idea. Like you can make like I have no idea how to randomize that. So we're gonna have to ask ChatGPT instantly. There's no way I can even try to do that. So let's try here. Now it's all working. I want to add that countries shown is all random. Let's make it step by step. Right. Shuffle implementation. Clarifying the shuffle point. Providing shuffle point. One step shuffle countries away. So step one, add a Fisher Yates. Let's just see. Okay. Add a Fisher Yates shuffle and call it loading the JSON. Add this just after you set countries equals data inside your then data block. So it's a shuffle array. It goes through the whole JSON file and makes everything random. So this is actually math right here. So let I equals array length. So now let's say the amount of objects are 200. That would mean that's 200 minus 1 because I'm guessing because the index is -1. I'm not sure why it's -1 yet. I'm guessing because it's an index. As long as I is more than 0, then I minus minus. I don't know what that means. I minus minus. I do not know what it means. And then obviously this is what's being iterated. The j equals math.floor, which what does that mean again? Math.floor. It means it's being rounded. No, that's math.round, right? Floor. I don't remember what that means. Is that there's no decimal points? That all gets pushed up to like 1 and then above. Math random times the I plus 1. So a random decimal points from 0 to 1 times I plus 1. This probably has something to do with -1 here, I'm guessing, but I don't actually know what it means. So the array with the index and the array of the index j, which is the random index, equals array. I have no idea what that means either. Shuffle array countries, console.log, shuffle order country. This is actually the part of code I have least the worst understanding about before I actually try. So I gotta ask a lot here. Countries.map, which is the key for the flag. No, it's not. This is different codes. C equals C plus name. What? Optional debug. I don't know what that means. I don't understand anything here. Explain, please. The game shows countries in the order they appear in your countries.json file, so the player will always see them in that same order every time they play. Sorry. I was thinking something else. You gotta slow down and go step by step so the random countries part makes sense. Right now your game shows countries in the order they appear in your countries.json file, so the player will always see that in the same order every time they play. If we want them to be random, we need to mix them up at the start. Step 1, what does shuffle mean? Think about a deck of cards, blah 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 blah. Shuffle orders. Yes, we want to do the same thing with countries list, so the country is different every time you reload. How do you shuffle in code? We use a small helper function that takes our list and randomly swaps elements around. This method is called Fisher-Yates shuffle. Here's the exact code. Yeah, and this is what I don't understand. Like, I barely understand this part. I don't even know what this means, so... It starts at the end of the list. Picks a random position earlier in the list. That's this J thingy here. That's like the random index, right? Swaps the two positions. Yep. And continues throughout the whole thing. Okay, I actually understand this now. However, these functions are quite hard to understand. Like, I understand these, and I understand like it swaps the different indexes. So the object at index J gets swapped with the object at index I. But I don't know what this means, and I don't know what this means. And I also don't know why this is how you do it, and I don't understand the syntax either. Like, I understand like halfly. Just before showing the first country, we shuffle them once example in your code, but then that's all after all. Your game runs the same way, but the countries are in new random order each time. Good to explain deeper line by line. Let's really unpack the shuffle line by line so it's crystal clear. I'll show the function, then explain each line. Then run a tiny dry run so you see how the values change step by step. Okay. Here's the code. Function array declares a function named shuffle array. Array is the parameter, the array you pass in. I understand that's the countries array, which is the name of the file of the JSON file. You can see here. This implementation modifies the array in place. It doesn't return a new array, right? So it only modifies the one we use in the code. It doesn't actually modify the file, right? Or a new one, like it doesn't create one. I think that's what it means. Let I equals array length minus 1, and then I plus, as long as I is more than 0, I minus minus, and I don't know what I minus minus. I starts at array length minus 1, the last valid index of the array. Right, so it's -1 because it's in indexes. It's not in the number, which is the amount of length. Loop continues while I is more than 0. That makes sense. We stop at 1 because when I equals 0, there's nothing left to switch. We stop at 1. Oh, that's why it's not equal. Okay, I see. It's I is more than 0, not I is more n equal to 0, because you don't want this function to run when it's at the 0th index, because it's done with everything, right? Each loop iteration decrements I minus minus. So we process indices n minus 1, n minus 2. Right, that makes sense, because it starts, as we can see here, at the end, right? It starts at the last index and then goes backwards. Makes sense. But why go backwards? Good question. We treat the trail of the array as the unshuffled position and reduce its size each iteration. It's a classic and simple reason about. It's just normal to do, I guess. Const j equals math floor math random times I plus 1. This I also don't understand. Produces a floating point number uniformly in 0 to 1. So 0 included, 1 not included. So yeah, that's what I said. That's what I actually thought this meant. Like it creates a number from 0 to 1, but not 1, but it can be 0. Multiplying by I plus 1 gives a number in, wait, what? What? Why do you want the index to be plus here? Math floor converts that to an integer. Yeah, it does. That's what I thought as well. It's like rounded it up or down. I think it only rounds up or only rounds down. I don't know which one it is. Inclusive of I. Yeah, I don't really understand why this random index somewhere in the range of indices that are not yet fixed 0 through I. Key every index 0 to I is equally probable for j. Multiplying by, so let's say you're at index 2, that would be 3. You multiply 3 with a random number. Oh, because I is firstly the length, so it would be, first it would be 199 plus 1, that would be 200. Then let's say it's 0.6. Also, I don't know what inclusive of I means. This is cool. I never saw this swap method before. Stops almost position ij equivalent to. It's cool. What is gives fair shuffle? On the first iteration, we choose j uniformly from 0 to n minus 1. Now it explains from this already defined thingy here that I don't understand. Like, I don't understand this yet. I understand this. We choose j uniformly from 0 to n minus 1. Yeah, that makes sense from the start and to where we're at, because we're going backwards, right? Each element has equal chance to end up at index n minus 1. What? So each remaining element is equally likely to go to n minus 2. What's that mean? Like so each remaining object? Is that what it means? So each object has equal chance to end up at n minus 1. I mean, yeah, it's just a statement. I don't know why. I don't know why that is mentioned. Because we pick uniformly at every step, the algorithm produces each of the n permutations. What the fuck does that mean, bro? Ah, fucking permutations. Permutation refers to an arrangement of objects in a specific order. It's a way to count the number of ways to arrange a set of items when the order matters. A permutation can also refer to the act of rearranging the order of a set. Okay. Because each of the n. So I'm guessing this is just like a variable for whatever this is, like for whatever the I is. Would equal. Because we pick uniform terms, the algorithm produce each of the n exclamation permutations with equal probability. This is the core of Fisher-Yates. Complexity. Yeah, time complexity. I already know what this means because I've already researched time complexity quite a bit. And this does make sense. This would be a graph like this, linearly. A linear graph. Or a linear function. And the memory is only if you shuffle one place. So it's basically the same. The memory isn't loaded more, or there's not more memory depending on which iteration we're at, right? It's the same amount of objects in the array, depending on how many times we shuffle it will always stay the same amount of objects. Dry run. Start with array length 5 in 0 for iteration I equals 4. J equals random 0 to 4. Suppose J is 1. Swap for 1 array becomes a ECDB. Okay. Now index 4 is fixed as B. Yeah, this is index 4, remember, because it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Iteration is 2. So we are now on I3 because that's the next to last index. chooses a random one from 0 to 3. Suppose j is 3. This is what I'm confused. If it's 3, what happens? You just swap 3 with 3. So it doesn't change anything. Okay, so I guess that's just an option then. Iteration 3, I equals 2. J random int 0 to 2. Suppose j is... I mean, I guess that means it's random, so... Because if it couldn't be changed with itself, would it be less random? Yeah, it would actually, right? Because you know from the start, or at least I do, maybe the players actually don't know this, but I know that it's in alphabetical order. Then I would know that depending on where I am, 2 countries can't be next to each other, right? For example, Taliban and Åland, which are the two first countries, they can't actually be next to each other. If this wasn't the case. Since this is the case, and it's all shuffled, it's still possible, it's just extremely unlikely that they are next to each other. So this actually makes it more random. This is good. Iteration I equals 4, j random int 0 to 1, suppose j equals 1, swap, and we are good, right? CEADB. So you can see how each step picks a random element from the prefix and puts it into the current tail position, where to put this in your code. Shuffle once, write countries equals data, then start the quiz from current index equals 0. So this is all the way up here. No, this is just where you call the function. So I'm just going to ask you, so if I use this function, the first code, that the actual JSON file will be randomized. No, that should have said the same. Okay, that's good. That's what I thought as well. So there's no problem there. So let's write this code and let's try to understand it as we write the code. Countries equals data. Yeah, we should. So this is the code here. Function shuffle array r, and then the for loop where you iterate through each and every object, right? So as long as the index is more than 0, the index is decreased by 1. I don't know why it's 2. Yeah, I do know why, because when you do +1, you do ++, right? So when you do -1, you do -, makes sense. So when you iterate, you also need to find a random index inside of the whole array, right? Hello? There, yeah. Sorry, I need to stop recording. Alright, sorry about that. We're gonna continue now. So yeah, we're making the shuffle array function that takes in the whole array from our JSON file, which we will probably call later. We start at the last country, so the last index. And each time, for as long as the index is more than 0, we decrease the index by 1, and then it iterates from this end to the start, right? And then we create another constant for another index, which will be the other random index of the array. And how do you write this? That would be I plus 1. And again, I'm going to try to understand this a bit better because it's not fully clear in my head. So first it creates, or, oops. Sorry, first it takes a random integer from 0 to 1. It multiplies it by our current index to plus 1, right? So let's say we're at the last index, which would be 199. It will pick a random number from 0 to 1, let's say 0.5. It will be 199 plus wait, maybe I'm not understanding this correctly. It's not because of the index. This already includes the indexes, right? This is actually because you don't run this function. Or wait. I think the math floor makes it so it rounds down. So if it's 0.5, or let's say this is 0.4 times the index we're at, let's say we're at index 199, it will be plus 1, that's 200 times 0.4, that is 80, and yeah, that would just be 80 because it's not, but let's say it's like 0.41, it would be like 80 something, then it would like 80 point something maybe, and it would just round it down. And that would be the index for our new object, right? And then it swaps that random object that we created with the current object that we're iterating. A bit hard to understand, but I think I understand it pretty much. So I'm just gonna move on. This small function here is pretty cool. Right. Swaps them, and then we got a call for the function, right? Yeah, we got a call for function and put in the countries, which is the data that we're actually retrieving from with this fetch function, right? Data we're retrieving is countries. That is the data we're retrieving from the JSON response. Okay, should be good. let's try this. Let's see if it works. It works. Every time I refresh, a new order is outputted. Wait, why is it France? Yeah, it pretty much works. Again, I'm gonna try to understand it again to make sure. I'm gonna ask it again. Again, explain the code. Just to be like 100% sure I understand everything and I didn't misunderstand what this actually meant, the -1 thing. We're making a function called shuffle array. Yes, your array will be countries. Yep. We start from the last index of the array dot length -1. Example, if 2 const 5, the index are 0. So array dot length. Yeah, that is why it's minus. So I was correct. Gives random number from 0 to 1. Math random times the index plus 1 gives a random number between 0 and I inclusive. Math floor. So +1. I'm not sure why it's +1. Is it to make it more random or? Can't be, right? That's the only thing in this code I don't fully understand right now. It's this +1. But like it's +1. Like I don't understand this. Why it's not just times I then? Because if the math random is 1 or 0.99999, and you time it by the index, then you will just get like the index. No, you wouldn't, because you round down. Ah, that's why it's math floor. Makes sense. So actually you need +1, because if it's 0.9999 and the index is 10, then it's not going to be 11. It's going to be 10.9999999. As it is math floor, it rounds it down. So it does make sense. Okay, I understand everything now. Perfect. All right, I understand everything. Thanks. Okay, so I actually understand everything, which is great. I'm gonna do, is there anything else I want to do? Yeah, first of all, I want to make, like obviously this is gonna look a lot better, and when I'm implementing modes and stuff, I will have like a start page, and then I click, and then it goes into this page. So I think the next step now is actually to make that start page. Let's write this all down in Notion document. Third group path. I'm gonna do fourth. I'm just gonna do here. Instead of making the first and second, I will just do day 1, day 2, because that's basically what it is at this point. Day 3. Make a page so that the user event can choose the modes, etc. For now, just to start the game. Okay, let's again, this is something I have no idea how to do. And I don't know if it requires HTML code or if it's to do with the JSON. I'm guessing it's HTML, so I'm gonna ask the ChatGPT again. Okay, now I want to focus on a home page. I want the user to press play before the game starts. I concentrate the user to play. Let's do step by step so nothing breaks in your current game. It makes only one step at a time. Please. Create the homepage UI title plus play button. Add this small snippet near the top of your script before you start the game logic. I before the fetch. So the play screen exists immediately. Yeah, obviously it gotta be outside the fetch function. So we're gonna make a div element, homepage ID. But I want to do this in HTML because right now it's doing HTML, but it's doing it in JavaScript instead, right? Is it not better to do this in the actual HTML file? Yes, if you already have HTML, it's clear simply do it. The HTML show the structure right away. Easier to read and edit later. CSS styling, easier to manage. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna give it my current HTML document. This is my current HTML. Gotcha. In that case, we can add a homepage structure directly into your existing, so your JavaScript just hides it and shows the game later. Here's what your HTML could look like after adding the homepage. You have the CSS style thingy in the body here. It makes a div element, another div element before the script src here. So let's delete that. Let's make it a bit cleaner. Let's do this, this here. And the first thing it does is create this div with the ID of home page. This ID is to make it easier to style later on, right? Makes an H1 or 2. I'm guessing that's why it has an ID to style it. I'm guessing. That's the country. H1 and button play button play, and then this will be the div for the actual game. So this is where you again implement the ID for the game, right? Game page style equals display none. Oops, daisy. Yeah, I didn't actually have a game page earlier. Your existing div ID equals game is now inside game page, so we can toggle it on later. next step will be in JavaScript. We'll make the play button, hide homepage, and show game page. Yeah, so right now we should only have one page, which is... Wow, what? So I guess we will just use this later on. Doesn't actually do anything visually yet. Okay, so you make it so that EOM content loaded. Okay, so it makes a variable and checks if it has the ID of play button, which is defined already. So it's good. Same with homepage, it already has an ID, and game page, which we already made here. Again, I don't really understand this add event listener thing. Like it's an arrow function somehow. I don't understand this fully. Play button dot event listener click. I understand what this means. Like this is just whenever you actually click the button, but we haven't created the button yet. Like play button. Like this will, like, oh, it is a button. Wait, why is it a button? Oh, because it's a button element here. I didn't see that button element. I thought it's a div. Okay. But it is a button. Home style display equals none. Game style display equals block. So this is the kind of display. I'm not too good with HTML. So, but I think it's pretty straightforward, right? I'm not too interested in it either. The only thing I don't understand is this, like this whole thing. I'm guessing it's like whenever the DOM content loads, then the actual function starts, and these are all saved into these variables, and you initialize the game, which will be a big ass function with everything inside, it seems like. Don't understand the first part of the code. The document dot add event listener. What is document add event? Document is the whole HTML page. Okay. That I knew that like halfly before. I think I just assumed it without actually thinking that it was this that did that. Had the event listener issue. It's a way to tell the browser, hey, when the specific event happens, run this code. Oh, so it's the same as the click function. Oh, I didn't even see that correlation. This is actually the same as this. I didn't even realize that. So whenever this happens, this happen function. Whenever someone click the button, this happens. So this is some sort of integrated function, just like some sort of integrated thing in this function, just like this is some sort of integrated thing into the button, right? So this is for the whole page, and this is just for the button. Okay. That fires when HTML has been fully loaded and parsed by the browser. This means the structure of your page is ready, but it might not wait for images or stuff to finish loading. The code inside here, which is an arrow function, is what will run once the content event happens. Makes sense? When your script runs, sometimes the HTML elements tries to access might not be loaded yet. For example, if your JavaScript runs before the browser has created a button element, then document get element by the will return null because it doesn't exist yet. Makes sense? Wrapping your code inside the Neoman content loaded event ensures the HTML element exists when your JavaScript transaction is done. You avoid errors related to trying to. You just wait with all the JavaScript to be loaded after the actual HTML code has been set fully. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. Now let's add this code. It should be up here, or here, or here. Doesn't really matter, I think. This part I also need to just double check what actually it does. I feel like I have a very airy way of understanding it. H document.get element by ID home page const game page document get element by ID. Then play button. Then listener. Click. This happens, which is the home page dot style display equals none, and game page dot display equals block. Pretty straightforward. Like, I don't really know exactly what the options are here, but I guess I got to ask for that as well. And then we also obviously want to have this whole thing nested inside that function, so we can call for the function whenever we actually want to, right? So like that's everything here should be inside here, like that. I'll also make it a bit cleaner by just doing this. Like that. Now it should be all nice and clean. Yep. Function start game. Explain what there is inside the first arrow. I'm getting really hungry, so I need to wrap this up soon so I can make some food. The JavaScript you want to run after a page is loaded, the part that controls your app or game startup. For example, let's say inside you have yeah, I know that. Wait, did he put the function inside it as well? No, it's not inside of it. This searches the HTML for an element with ID equals play button. Yes, that's what I said and thought. It stores that button element in the play button variable so you can work with it. That's also what I thought it did. Add a click listener. So yeah, that's easy. Yeah, it all makes sense, really. So the default value is none on display. Or the default value, I mean, is that it is displayed. So when we set them to none, then they don't get it displayed. So the home page is like visible. Makes sense. The game page div is in hidden display none. So blah blah blah. Okay, it all makes sense. Try to run the code, guess the country play, and nothing happens, unfortunately. I have no idea why. Let's look at the HTML, the game page, the home page. It says here that displays none, but it gets updated in the JS code here to block. So it should start this whole thing here. And this, ooh, now I see the problem. This should be inside the function here. Now it should start, and it doesn't. Fuck. Small mistakes. Oh shit, it auto rotates. Documents, MID. What else is there? Plus Chevy document get on MID. Yeah, should be good now. And it's not. Here. Now it should work. Perfect. Oh. This is Tunisia, right? No, it's Malaysia. What? Oh, it's Maldives. Fuck. Right. Also, we gotta fix this when it's white, but this is Estonia. I'm really tired right now. I do understand everything though, so let's do a quick summary. Maybe we'll do another episode today actually, because I do have a lot of time. Today we let's actually do it while looking at the Notion documents. Yesterday we finished hints for the players, and we added that they can only have 3 hints before it shoves them over to the next flag. Today we made a point system, 10 points for if they guessed it instantly, 5 points if they guess it once with 1 hint, and with 2 hints 3 points, 3 hints 1 point. We randomized the countries. So as we can see here, we use a function to shuffle, and we iterate through every single object in the array and shuffle them around using this math.random right here. And we also made a home page, which we did with the HTML code right here. We made a div for the game page and a div for the home page, and then we assigned the different IDs to variables inside of this event listener, which basically just means that it waits for the DOM content to load, which is the whole HTML document. It loads it, and then whatever happens here happens, and that is it gives the play button div a variable, the homepage div a variable, the game page div a variable. The play button is actually a button, it's not a page. It adds another event listener, which is whenever you click the play button, and then it gives the homepage display value none, and it puts the game page display value to block, which basically means that it's displaying it, right? And then it starts the game, which is basically we just created a function where everything we wrote earlier up until before this inside of the function start game, just so we can start the game whenever we want. And obviously we don't want it started before we've pressed play. So as you can see, if I restart the code here, we guess the flag, we press play, and then the game randomly gives you an array of objects, and we can play freely, right? So that's about it. For next time, I think I want to start on modes. Again, I want to make everything as fundamental as possible before starting to design the pages and stuff. I want to make it beautifully in the end, But before that, I want to make as many modes as possible. Also, I want a way to store, to use the stored points data, and I want to store them in a database, and I don't know how to do that, and if it's even possible for free, like if I need to pay for a database, or if I can like save it on a hard drive on my PC, or it's probably going to be stored in a different file, I'm assuming. So like game 1 would be the name maybe, and then equals as many points, and then you get that data and adds them onto a chart every time you finish a game. That's my kind of goal, like to have like a chart at the end of seeing like previous scores and if you've improved, to make it more fun and exciting, right? I also want to have different modes, including choosing the continent. So I need to group all the countries that are in one continent to another. Also, the array we're using, the JSON file we're using, contains so many countries and flags. It's not just like the actual countries. Like if we search up how many countries it's in the world, we can see that it's 195, but we actually have a lot more objects, right? We have an insane amount of objects here. Let's actually ask ChatGPT how many objects we have. I don't even think it's possible. Oh, it is. Yeah, it's not possible. It's not possible. I want to see how many objects is in my JSON file. I'll give you 2 different chats because it's so long. Sure, going. Okay, so let's start with doing half of it. Let's say that's until here. I don't even know if this is gonna work. And then we'll do the rest here. Fuck, it's too long. Are you kidding me? Let's do until here. That's also too long, really? Fucking hell. That. And then the rest here. I want you to tell me how many countries there are in all those chats I sent you. Based on what you give for, there are 90 cards. No, I sent you 3 partial lists that makes up the whole file. Got it, since you see 253. Okay, so I have like 60 more countries than actually needed. What are they? Are they countries? I thought there were only 195 countries. Great question. Your list contains 253. It doesn't know what it is. Entries, which is more than the commonly cited 105 countries. Here's why. After sovereign countries, your list includes territories, regions, and other entities that asked. Yeah, so basically it doesn't contain so much data that I need to somehow group whatever's in whatever's in country, so I can actually have that as a test. And then another mode would be like all the the whole thing with all territories and groups and all that stuff. So yeah, that about sums it up, I think. And maybe I'll continue later.